Freaky fun for everyone. Sold
Leonardo, the katana blade. My God.
Attack the evil Inhumanoid, forcing him back into the earth.
Hey, the name's Boglins. You sold separately.
We battle our He-Man and Skeletor each sold separately. You put them out together.
Turn them into the light, and they change into even more powerful.
Battle against Lion-O and the new Thundercat ally.
Because I'm Paste Pot Pete, the worst mother in the whole Marvel universe. Hello, and welcome to today's controversy-free episode of That New Toy Smell. Today we're taking a look at the worst action figures in the original Masters of the Universe line. Wait, I know, some of you are already writing angry comments down below. What do you mean the worst? There are no worst. They're all fantastic. Why are we talking about the worst? What about some positivity? What about the best figures? Why are we doing the worst? How dare you do this? Stop. Hold on. Look, nobody's attacking you, okay? Some of these figures, I even admit when I'm doing the video that I kind of like the figures, that I owned a bunch of these figures, that these are figures that I do enjoy, but I admit some of these are not the best designed, the most perfectly thought out, the most well-rounded ideas in the whole figure universe, okay? So just roll with it, have some fun with it. This is a thinking exercise, it's fun. But on top of that, part of the reason we do this is because I want to start some dialogue. I want to get some comments from you guys. I want some feedback. So I want you to watch this list. I want you to listen to me talk about all of these figures. Then at the end, I'm going to give you our voicemail line. I'm going to give you my email address. I'm going to give you the link to the official fan group on Facebook where you can go, you can leave comments, you can give me feedback. And then on next week's episode, I'm going to go through some of this feedback and I'm going to talk about some of these figures that you think need to be redeemed. So we'll talk about the redemption of some of these figures on next week's episode. So I need to do this list to break it down so I can get the feedback from you guys to build some of them back up. Or I'm 100% right. There's not a single thing wrong with this list. So therefore, there's absolutely no feedback because I am a genius and I crack the code and I'm perfect. And I'm okay with that, personally. I think that's just fine. So tell you what, let's take a look at the list. Now look, I get that Prince Adam is the alter ego of He-Man. He's He-Man when he's not so He-Man-ish, I guess. But, I mean, seriously, the best disguise they can come up with is to take the exact same figure and paint some purple tights on him and a white t-shirt and give him a jacket and that's it. And then why is his sword pink? Purple? What's the point of that? I don't understand what's going on. How is this a secret identity? Just giving him new clothes. Why is his outfit so fabulous? Because he's not so He-Man? I don't know. I mean, I guess in the later lines, at least they tried to make Prince Adam into something different. They tried to make it make sense. But this figure is just so dumb. I mean, he's still wearing the gauntlets, but they're just painted white, so now it's the cuffs of his t-shirt? And what's with the artwork on the package? I mean, look at the He-Man and Prince Adam on the back of the package here. How old is he? 55? 60? Why is there such an old man He-Man on here? I don't understand. There's so much I don't understand about this figure. I mean, really, this version of Prince Adam is probably the best representation ever because every time I look at this, I just want to go, hey, what's going on? to be fair, I think Ram Man is a neat idea for a character. Basically a human battering ram. It makes sense. And especially in something like Masters of the Universe that's all about fighting and confrontation, it's a great idea for a character. But for a figure, this is a really bad figure. Now, the action feature here is that you would push him down and then you'd press the release and he would spring forward and he would attack. And it's a neat idea, except it doesn't really work. I mean, all he does is really pop up like a half inch off the ground and then fall over. And if you try to use him to actually attack at any sort of object, he really doesn't work. The best he can do is knock over some styrofoam cups or something. It's really a terrible, terrible feature. But on top of that, the feature gets rid of all of his points of articulation except for two. His arms. He can move them at the shoulder, but he can't really move them. They don't really articulate. They just twist. So he can go from standing like this to standing like this. Wow, that's incredible. Can you bend the knees? Nope. Can you turn the waist? Can the head move at all? Nope. What about the elbows? The wrists? Nope. Nothing. Just the arms moving back and forth like this. Wow. That's incredible. What a great toy. The worst part about it, though, is that because he slams everything with his head, and the head is actually painted with the silver color, that after you crash him a couple times, the paint is starting to rub off. So sooner or later, you've got a Ram Man with half his head rubbed off, and it looks like garbage. I like the idea of the character, but this figure just doesn't work. Look, let's get something clear right off the bat. I like Faker. I like the idea of a blue and day-glow orange version of He-Man. I really do. I like the idea. But the fact that this is supposed to be some sort of secret undercover robot version that can trick all of He-Man's friends into thinking that this is He-Man, that's just dumb. Like, if your friends can't tell that a version of you with a completely different skin tone is not you, then you need better friends. You've got some really dumb friends. Masters of the Universe, they ain't. Now look, like I said, I like the look. Look at the idea of a palette swapped version being the evil version. I like that. That is cool. I like the idea of Faker. I like the Disco Skeletor. I've used Fakors to make Disco He-Man versions to go with it. It's a neat character. It's a neat idea. I like palette swaps. I like Anti-Eternia He-Man and all the different versions. But for the basic idea that somehow this robot version is going to sneak up on the friends of He-Man, and somehow they're not going to know that this guy with a tape recorder built into his chest isn't their best friend. They're going to look at this and go, oh, look, that's our friend He-Man. He just must be cold, or he just ate the everlasting gobstopper from Willy Wonka's factory, and he's now turning into a blueberry. The fact that this is supposed to be some sort of undercover version of He-Man is such a failure. If they just said it's an evil version of He-Man and it's a different color, that's cool. But a sneaky, evil robot version that people won't know isn't He-Man? That's dumb. That's really, just really, really dumb. So they couldn't use Orko in the movie, so they made Gwildor. Now, I don't know why they didn't do... Well, I know why. I mean, we've all heard the stories, but whatever. So they don't use Orko, they make Gwildor. So then they decide to turn him into an action figure, and this is what you get. This is the type of action figure that a kid gets when his parents don't know anything about the toy line and don't bother to learn. This is like the most worthless little troll baby doll that was turned into an action figure. I mean, he's got like the cosmic key thing, so that's cool, except it doesn't really look like the cosmic key thing. It looks more like something you might use to clean all of the hair out of your shower drain. And this action figure, what does he do? He moves his arms and he turns his head. That's great. looks more like a rejected character design from the animated version of The Lord of the Rings. This is a bad action figure. This is more of an in-action figure. He can put his hands over his head, and he can put his hands back down. Great. Maybe you could find like some Ewoks for him to run around with, or maybe there's some Mogwai that he can interact with. But as far as looking like a Masters of the Universe figure, this guy looks like the master of blueberry pie. He does not look like the master of anything useful and worthwhile in the universe. Worthless. So I can only imagine what the meeting was like. There are a bunch of guys sitting in a conference room and someone says, hey, I've got an idea for a new figure. Okay? Alright, so we take Merman, okay? We paint him like a skunk. We give him Mechanex armor. And then we make him smell bad. So you want to take a figure that we already have and just repaint him, give him someone else's armor, and make him smell bad? Right. Okay, so what are we going to name him? Oh, well, he smells bad. He stinks. So we'll name him Stinkor. And they said, by God, Jerry, you're a genius. Here's an extra $50,000 and a promotion and a helicopter and some chicks and a hot tub and a cigar because you're awesome. Because, oh my gosh, this is such a bad idea. A figure that smells bad. I mean, like it literally, like I can't even... Like, it smells bad. So Stondar and Rockon are action figures that turn into rocks. Okay, well that's interesting, I guess. But of the two, Stondar and Rockon, why is Rockon worse than Stondar? Why does he get picked on and Stondar gets a pass? Because here's why. Stondar's special power is that he turns into a rock and he bashes things. And I know a thing or two about dumb toys that turn into rocks that bash things. And they get a pass. Because that's actually a power that apparently has some uses and will make certain people forget certain chunks of time in their life because they have permanent brain damage. But for Rockon, his special power is that he's shiny. He's got shiny parts. And those shiny parts reflect light. And it makes it hard for people to see if you shine that light in just the right spot. So his rock power isn't even that the rock part of him is a hard shell, or that it bashes things, or it can break stuff, or whatever. It's that the shiny parts, when he pops open into the person, can blind people by reflecting the light. So on a cloudy day or at nighttime, I guess he just stands there and cries while the rest of the world fights without him because there's not a thing he can do about it. Now, I had Manny Faces as a kid, and I liked the figure well enough, but here's really the problem. His one gimmick is that he can switch faces. And how does he switch faces? With a big knob on the top of his head and this giant blue helmet that hides the other faces. So how does he look to the left or to the right? Well, he has to move his whole upper body if he wants to cross the street and make sure there's no oncoming traffic. It's a little cumbersome, and it kind of gives away the entire gimmick. Plus, here's the problem. Let's say that Manny Faces is walking down the street and he's trying to be a normal guy. He's trying to get along with everybody. And someone just walks up behind and grabs that purple thing on the top of his head and just switches it to monster mode. And then suddenly he's a rampaging monster. And there's not a thing he can do about it because he's a rampaging monster. So how does he ever turn back? I mean, I guess maybe he can control it, except he can't control it. Except when he could control it. But in the mini-comic that comes with him, he can't control it. But somehow the robot version and the monster version are still a part of him. It's just, I don't know. It's just dumb. It's just dumb and it's weird. And the gimmick that makes him change faces takes away one piece of articulation in the 6 points of articulation that he has. So it's like, hey, he's got this gimmick, but the gimmick takes away from part of what makes him fun. And it makes his head, like, huge and top-heavy. It makes it hard for him to stand. And with these 5.5 classic figures with the rubber band legs, it's hard enough to get them to stand as it is. Now he's got this giant shell of a body because he has this weird, funky helmet thing that they can't even give him a neck. They have to find some way to work it into the skin on his body, which makes it look really freaky. I mean, think about it. That's flesh tone. That's all fleshy up there on the chest thing. And the blue for the helmet is coming out of the flesh. That's like gross and weird and dumb. And dumb. Twistoid and Rotar are two terrible figures. Besides the fact that you only get really half a figure with both of these because there's no legs, they are really essentially a spinning top. That's what they are. There's not a lot to them. But Rotar edges out Twistoid ever so slightly because he has one bonus action feature option. See, Rotar has these gears, and these gears can sit in this gray bracket. And you can spin Rotar and put him on one of these gears, and the whole bracket flies around and can knock over his enemies, and it's kind of dumb, but whatever. But you can also spin him up and put him on one of these gears and spin the gear up, and then lift him off and shoot the gear at his enemy, and then he has this projectile attack. So it kind of makes sense in some kind of weird, still lame, but weird way in which it works. Twistoid, he doesn't have that. All he has are these orange axes on this little purple base thing. So you can spin him up and put him on the base, and these little orange things can spin around, and supposedly they can knock down his enemies. Except they're only like a centimeter longer than just what his normal body length would be. So if he's going to knock people down with those things, he could just knock into them himself. So why would he need these things? They're useless. It's a dumb bonus thing because they don't do anything else. They don't fly off. They don't spin off in any other way. Now, I mean, I guess I should give Twistoid a little bit of a pass because if you look at him, he's got a terrible color scheme, and it's the same color scheme as Disco Skeletor, kind of. You got that orange and green and purple and blue thing going on, which really at its heart, you mix in a little bit of black and some gold and you've got Disco Skeletor. So maybe this is where the color scheme from Disco Skeletor came from. I don't know. It's possible. But the truth of the matter is, it's just a bad, dumb figure. And while Rotar is also dumb and bad and terrible, at least he's got that projectile weapon thing, which slightly redeems him just a little bit more than Twistoid. And Twistoid, he's just junk. Eggs. That's what these are. They are eggs. Now, I know they're meteorbs, so they're supposed to be meteors. But they're not. They're eggs. See, just like Transformers were lifted from a Japanese line where another company, Hasbro, bought the rights and brought them to the United States and made up a whole new story for them, well, Mattel decided they were going to do the same thing. So they went out and they found this Japanese brand of these eggs that became animals, and they said, hey, we can use those for Masters of the Universe, and they can be these transforming meteors, except they're not meteors. They're eggs. And they turn into these animals that look terrible. I mean, seriously, first of all, look at Cometoid. This is supposed to be a person thing? And Gorilla? He's not gory. Gangly? He's just Gangilla. Not really a catchy name. But I mean, look, all of these things were a bad idea. It was just a dumb idea. If you're going to go out and grab another toy line and buy the rights to bring it and mix it in, find something better than eggs. Because even if you call eggs meteors, they're not really meteors if they still have the egg shape. And the egg shape is so pronounced, you can look at this Japanese commercial, you can see that these are supposed to be eggs. It's obvious that these are eggs. These are clearly eggs. In every way that these were designed, they were designed to be eggs. It's exasperating how terrible these figures are. Hey Frank, I got an idea for an action figure. Oh yeah, what's that, Mike? Well, I was watching the news the other day, and there are those guys in the Middle East. They're what are they called? Terrorists? And the terrorists were taking dynamite and strapping it to their body, and then they run into a crowd of people, and they explode, and they kill a whole bunch of innocent people. Yeah, that's terrible. But how does that give you an action figure idea? Well, I was thinking, for Masters of the Universe, what if we created a guy who was designed to run into a group of other action figures and blow up and kill them all? Oh, I see. You know what? That's genius! Here's your helicopter, and your hot tub, and your hot women, and your $50,000 a year bonus, because you're a genius. I mean, seriously, who came up with Blast Attack? The idea of a suicide bomber action figure is just terrible. And here's what's worse. Blast Attack is an evil villain. He's a bad guy. Well, okay, that's not a problem. He should be a bad guy. I mean, a suicide bomber should be a bad guy. But the artwork on the back, who is he attacking? He's attacking bad guys. He's going after other bad guys. He's a bad guy attacking other bad guys. He's not even attacking the good guys. Because why? Because he's supposed to be part of the Snake Men, and he was captured by King Hiss, and he's been programmed to attack Hordak. So now we've got suicide bombers from the bad guys attacking the other bad guys. There's way too much geopolitical and sectarian violence being tied into a child's toy line with this figure. This is bad. You put this hose into his back, you press the plunger, and you watch him pop. And then look at his face. Look at this face. He's not a master of the universe. He's a master of the universe. That is a punchable face if I have ever seen one. This is a bad idea for a character. This is a terrible idea for a child's toy. And the person who put this together, I hope they got fired. Because this is a dumb idea. A suicide bomber is not a great idea for an action figure in a child's toy line, Mattel. Shame on you. Shame on you then. Shame on you now. Shame on you forever. So there you have it. My list of the 10 worst figures in the classic Masters of the Universe line. And I guess I kind of cheated a little bit with the meteorbs, but whatever. Those are eggs. So, nonetheless, I want to know what your feedback is. So, you can email me, dirt@popculturenetwork.com or dirt@thepopc.net. Or you can leave us a voicemail on our 24-hour voicemail line. It's area code 217-953-4025, and that's in the United States. So if you're calling internationally, that starts with the country code of 1. And that is a Skype voicemail number. So if you're watching this at 3 o'clock in the morning and you want to leave that angry feedback, you can call and leave it at 3 o'clock in the morning. You're not going to wake anybody up because it's going to go straight to our Skype voicemail box. You can leave it there. And then also you can join us in our Facebook group. You can just follow the URL here on the screen. This is a shortener, so just follow that short URL to find the actual Facebook group. And then, like I said, I will go through your feedback on the next show. And also, as you can see, the That New Toy Smell t-shirts are finally making it. It's taking a long time because of the virus and the shutdowns and everything. It's taking a long time for them to get the custom printed shirts out, but but they're finally making it. They look pretty nice, I think. So I know several of you have ordered them. So if you get your shirts in, take a picture with your shirts. We've gotten pictures of the flag or the banner that's gone out, like a wall tapestry thing, whatever, of the pillow that's gone out. But we've got another shirt, a small shirt, and a big shirt that have gone out. My daughter got a hoodie. She looks pretty good in, but she doesn't want me to take her picture because she's just like that. So I told her I wouldn't. Whatever. But I've got this shirt. I've got another shirt. Whatever. And I think they look nice. They smell like fresh shirts. They have that new T-shirt smell. Not exactly the same as a toy smell, but you know, you get what you can take these days. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for today's episode. So I know some of you are angry, but now is your chance to get back at me. Give me that feedback. And if I don't hear from you, that just means that I was right. And I like being right, because that's all right with me. So, all right then. I'll see you next time. Mustache hair going up your nose, no good. Cause I'm the trapster. No, you're Paste Pot Pete. I'm the trapster. No, you're Paste Pot Pete. I'm the trapster, the worst mother in the whole Marvel. Oh, hello.